Hey guys, welcome back to another Wolves Community Blog. Well, today we're going to be discussing the new Alpha 8 episodes of the series we're going to be putting out, and the universe and planets, and how we're going to do things for Imperial and Galactic Survival next season. We're also going to be discussing other things off topic and on topic and everything else in between. Alright, so first off, we need to discuss some things about the new updates that are coming out for Alpha 8 and Imperion. We can actually make different planet sizes, like I did with the Titan planets, but it's actually going to work correctly, hopefully, as they say.
Famous last words.
Yeah. So some of the things we're considering is actually making one planet where everyone in every faction live on. So instead of multiple homeworlds, there's only going to be one homeworld, where the rest of the universe is always ever-changing. What are your thoughts, views, and opinions about that?
I like it. Interesting. I have a world war right from the beginning.
But you got to remember that if the planet is as big as they say we can make it, which would be 64 times the size that it is now, it could take 30 to 40 minutes to go around from one side to the other side of the planet.
One thing they should have known about starting space instead of all planet.
And see, that's some of the stuff that we got to figure out. Now, nomads, they are supposed to be only spacefaring people, right? So maybe they shouldn't be allowed to be on the homeworld.
They should be able to like starting in space somewhere. A little one-down ship, maybe, or whatever.
You got to remember that the planet is 64 times larger than the planets are currently. So even with everyone starting on one planet, there's plenty of space for everyone.
That's what I was thinking.
And not to mention there's underground too.
Would the new planets be 64 times the size?
No. Everything else, we're just talking about the home world only, and maybe a few planets we'll make that you can't actually do anything on. There won't be actually anything there for you to do. Some of the concepts I've been coming up with is like making planetary orbits, where the main planet in the system, the center, will be like Jupiter, but you can't go to Jupiter. So in our universe, you won't be able to go there either. If you fly into Jupiter, your ship, you lose everything. But around it in the orbit will have moons, which will actually be the playfield planets. And those will be smaller and more realistic to what our normal gameplay is. Some planets will be large to the point where you can go and explore and stuff. And this time around, I don't think we're going to have planet-specific resources. You'll never know what you're going to find on the planet. Each planet will be random. So you might have come to a planet that has magnesium and sapphire on it, or cobalt, silicone, and copper. But we're not going to have respawning resources like usual. So once you mine out a planet, you got to go find another one. So it'll make the exploration of planets more interesting.
So the system layout, is that going to be fairly random? It's not going to be structured like it's always been?
It's definitely going to be more random, for sure.
Okay. Because I like the idea, if we're all starting on one planet, then basically it's a race to get off of that planet, explore the solar system, and find a decent planet that you want to call your actual homeworld as a faction.
Yeah, I think
that defeats the whole. That also defeats the purpose of having only one homeworld for all the factions. The point is to draw the player interactivity closer, not push it away. Because all the planets outside of the homeworld won't be permanent. They're all going to, eventually they're going to go, and new ones will come in to explore and stuff like that with new POIs and new everything. So if we can find the homeworld where everybody is,
alliances easier too.
So even the freelancers would be on the homeworld. They would just be off limits to everybody because that's the PvE play style on our server. So they just can't be raided. Except in space. So the only place we'd have structured rules would be on the homeworld. Outside of that, in space, there's no rules. Even if I'm thinking that the whole offline thing as well, we shouldn't have to worry about that anymore in space. The only time that it should take effect is on the homeworld. That way we don't have so many, is this legal, is this not?
Well, the offline thing is, I mean, what we should do is just leave it to the offline protection.
Exactly. That's my point right there.
If you're offline, then you haven't got offline protection on your ship or your base, then, well, that was silly, wasn't it?
Exactly.
You know, if you want to be protected offline, then use offline protection.
I mean, the homeworld's going to be big enough that everybody can do anything they want, and it's not likely you're going to come across somebody every day.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually out there looking.
The only problem with that is your consumption, fuel, oxygen, whatever, is going to increase quite drastically because your bases are constantly running.
The point is you're supposed to have your bases constantly running, so that would actually...
No, but I mean, at the moment, the bases are actually only going to consume fuel and ammunition and that when somebody's in the playfield.
Yeah,
now you have all the factions in the playfield, in the same playfield, all the bases, even if you're offline, they're going to start using more resources. Like
when the offline protection is on for a faction, your base isn't consuming anything because your faction's not online. As far as I know, I've never seen it consume all our stuff.
No, it's the playfield's active.
It is based on playfield.
The base is active.
You got solar panels out over there, haven't you?
Sorry, Jericho, what was that?
You got solar panels now?
Yes, solar panels would
use
actually
that
help.
with fuel, right?
Yeah. Just leave the solar panels to fuel the weapons.
You should be able to design a base to have enough redundant fuel storage.
Really,
keep it running for weeks.
My bases, when I design them, they're enough to run for days. The only thing that's not, well, except for when it's fully fueled, was the stronghold, and it's this season. But when it's fully fueled, it runs for an entire week. So, I mean, it's not that big a deal, and there's less fuel tanks in it than it was when I originally designed it. The fuel consumption is not the issue. The issue is actually just getting the fuel. And if you're that lazy, then go away. That's my point of view on that one.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Thinking out loud.
So, I'd like to put forward an idea that was originally actually drafted by Dreamweaver. I think some of you already know. Hang on a second.
Seconds over.
We have dead air.
I like the idea already.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, the pirates will have an easier time. They can start raiding right from the beginning.
Exactly. We'll actually have player interactivity if you're that close to each other. But the size of the planets, you got to remember, it's going to take forever to find someone. And I mean, yeah, granted, once you know where they're at, you could just directly go straight to them. But now you got two choices: either stay where you're known to be, or move somewhere else at the beginning. So it actually creates the environment of actually having to do something.
Here's the thing, though. A lot of people that I've spoken to as well, they don't want PvP. So quite a few people, they just like the role of a PvE faction.
That's the freelancers, flat out. Nobody can attack them, nobody can go after them, and they're off limits, period.
But there's a problem with that as well, because the freelancers have free reign over the planet, which means they could just erect bases. They could just put bases everywhere.
Well,
they can't do anything about.
Like I said, the homeworld is the only place we would actually have to implement our rule system. So for the freelancers, they would be only allowed to have their main base, which would be their storage and their trade hub, where we would all go to trade with them.
Well, you can set per faction limits on buildings from a server level, so you can actually enforce that one technically as well as by paper.
Right.
You can say by faction that the maximum number of bases allowed per faction is 2, for example, or even 1. So yeah, that's entirely possible.
But if we limit the freelancers to having their one area, you know, that way they have their town, whatever, they can have more than one base, but as long as they're all in the same spot, in the planet, not like on 3 different areas, then they can't do that. So they can still have their building and do whatever they want and do all their mining and do all their selling and stuff like that. And they won't get wrecked because that's the one place on the planet that none of us can go and do anything. Everywhere else on the planet, we do our normal thing. You know, I mean, for the rest of us, what's the point of building combat vessels if we're not going to use them?
Mentioned a while back about the base. Like not have one main base for everybody in it, but let everybody build their own little structures and have like a little city running.
How about you, really?
You know, we did that in the past, and we always had a mess. But I'm talking my faction only. You know, the military police. You know, there's nothing wrong with having multiple bases, and having a large planet to where we can do that now would be great. Now we don't have to build just one city to try and confine it because we have such a small planet. We're going to have multiple bases between all the factions in order to do what we want to do. If we're going to go mine something, like let's say we have copper on the homeworld plus the iron plus sathium. All right, let's say those are the starting resources, and that's what we're all working with in the beginning. So all the factions are out mining these things. You're going to want to protect your asset to what you're working with. If you're mining something that's taking you 30 minutes to go from one side of the planet to the other to go mine this deposit, and you know, our deposits are huge, so it's not like it's just you're going to drive up, mine it, and leave. You're going to want to build a base over there. Why not? So let one of the other guys that wants to build a base go build his base over there, and then that's his home. He's going to want to defend it, so he's going to have his own defenses and take care of it himself. You know, there's nothing preventing anyone from being able to do that when it comes to this new homeworld. I mean, unless we have 1,000 players on one planet, would that ever be a problem? But we're never going to have 1,000 people playing on the server. I wouldn't want 1,000 people playing on the server.
The wars would be chaos.
The server wouldn't run.
Okay, here's another issue. I'm just going to poke holes today.
Yes, please do. That's the point.
The problem is with putting everybody on one planet and doing everything like that is you make space pretty much redundant. Like, obviously you'll need to go out in space to get certain resources, I assume, but otherwise you just there's no real focus on, or any reason really, to go out into space other than to fetch some resources.
Well,
unless you wanted to set off on your own.
Hey, there's no
but as Wolf has already said, the planets other than the homeworld are going to be changed and wiped periodically and things like that.
Well, space won't be. Just the planets.
Right.
So
the point is the likelihood of any kind of conflict in space, the sort of battles that we do like, the giant sort of CV battles, aren't really going to happen with that setup.
Yeah, they would. They'd happen around the whole world itself, because you got to remember, most of the resources are not even going to be on the home world. And there's only going to be like 2, maybe 3 other playfields, period, out in space anyways. And that's where everybody's got to go to get the other resources, whatever they might be.
Are we going to have the option of buying our own planet still?
Yes.
Awesome.
So, I mean, if you bought your own planet and you're sitting in, then you could go and move there and do whatever you want there and never go back to the home world at that point.
Not that I'll ever be rich enough to buy my own planet, but yeah.
With the new setup and stuff, it'll be a lot easier.
Okay. Here's an idea before I was rudely interrupted by my spouse. Complete and utter change. Absolutely everything changes in this idea, okay? So just brace yourself. 3 factions, 3 origin factions. You got 2 PvP factions and 1 PvE faction. You return to normal homeworlds, so you all start on your own homeworlds as normal. On the PvP worlds, there is only gold deposits. There's just hundreds and thousands of gold deposits, huge gold deposits, and all you can mine is gold, apart from what you can get in the rocks as normal and things like that. On the PvE planet and surrounding planets, asteroid fields and play fields are basically all the other resources. And the PvE faction's job is essentially to trade with the two PvP factions in gold for all the resources that the PvP factions basically need in order to fuel their war effort against each other.
I can agree with that.
But what are they going to do with all the gold?
Buy ships instead of having to rebuild them repeatedly.
This is the other thing. The PvE factions are the only ones that can use the Blueprint Factory, and the gold is used to operate the Blueprint Factory. And then the PvP factions can buy ships and blueprints basically off of the freelancers. You know, at a marked up price, but essentially the goal of the freelancers is just to earn money, just to get stupidly rich.
Right.
The goal of the PvP factions are just to wipe.
You see, that's what I was thinking.
I like the idea.
Deal.
I love the whole idea. Believe me, I really do. I love the only two warring factions. It's what I wanted from the beginning, but this season it turned out to be different. I really would love to go back to only having the two PvP factions and then the one PvE faction. It would fix so many of our problems. And the other thing about it is with the one PvE faction being the only one who can bring in ships using the actual in-game factory, no more admin commands, would be great. Because you pre-order them, they make them, they produce them, and then you go pick them up. Now, the object of the freelance faction would be to get his own planet by making money and paying for it.
Exactly.
And then they would be able to have their own homeworld. Same with us. We can end up with our own homeworlds once we can buy them in the long run. Until then, we're both stuck on the same planet fighting each other, just to keep going on that planet. And the concept of the homeworld only having gold on it, I'm all for it. That was my plan. I'm sick of iron being a resource on the homeworlds. I'm done with it. For us, it's going to take us. It's going to either be we have to pay for it, or we go find it and mine it and fight over it, because there's only going to be particular places you can get iron. For instance, I was thinking that this time around maybe we'll only have iron in the asteroids around the planet, and yes, they will respawn. So that way, we have to be in orbit fighting each other over the iron, because that's where it's at. Now, at this point, maybe there will only be 4 asteroids, and they will constantly stay full, but let's say we just mine this one out, well, we only got 3 other ones to go at, so no matter what, we're going to run into each other, and we're going to fight over iron.
Well, this is what I thought. I thought you wouldn't need to fight over iron, you wouldn't need to fight necessarily over resources. The PvP factions are just at war.
Right.
There's you're just fighting. Okay,
Period.
There's no resources to fight over, etc. You're on your own homeworld, so I'm thinking 2 separate homeworlds, not on one. But there's more than one planet in each faction's territory. Let's say there's 2.
We're reducing. We're totally reducing the amount of planets. Period. So there's only going to be maybe 3 play fields in the entire setup, if you catch my drift. But there might be 2 planets in each one, but that's all there's going to be. Maybe one will only be an asteroids around a planet, but the planet's useless, you can't get to it. But the asteroid field's where the resources are going to be, and the other one might be a planet and nothing else.
Let me just explain why I think there should be more planets.
Can we make the asteroids
scenario.
less dense?
The asteroid fields are completely changed, don't worry about that. Go ahead,
Because it's a lag.
hang on. Go ahead, Spans.
The homeworlds are gold planets, right? You can't use auto miners on gold deposits. You have to mine them out. Okay, even with super high deposit count and things like that, you're eventually going to run out of gold. This is where the other planets come in. I'm saying, but I mean, okay, maybe we can go to the idea about you spawning another planet in when you mine it out. I don't know, but in my head, I thought that both PvP factions would have a homeworld, and then they have like 2 other planets, maybe moons or whatever, nearby that also are just pure gold. And that encourages the invasion scenario, because then your warring factions might want to invade the other factions' worlds to get more gold, and obviously out-arm themselves against their other half.
But here, the reason, see, that's what we've been doing, is having different worlds for everybody to work off of. And the point is, nobody wants to go to the other planet anyways. It's just, why?
Well, like I say, to get more gold. You're going to run out of gold on your home world. You need to secure the other worlds in your system in order to ensure you've got that gold. Does Because otherwise the other faction's going to come along and take it. And they've got more gold than you, they can afford more ships than you, more supplies from the freelancers, more ammo, more everything. And then suddenly they're kicking your ass.
Got point there.
So in that case, the homeworlds would have to be tiny and ridiculously stupid because nobody's going to want to... Okay, let me ask you this. Why would you go invade another planet? Seriously, why would you waste the time and resources going to do that when you can just mine resources and sell them?
What I'm saying the PvP factions don't mine resources. They're literally the only thing they can mine is gold. The freelancers are the only ones that have access to all the other resources.
What are we going to do away with constructors and everything?
No, you can buy the raw resources. That's what I'm saying, you just basically trade gold for 5 crates of iron ingots, or whatever. But here's the other thing as well, if you're buying stuff off the freelancers, they have to deliver it in a convoy. And you have to escort them to your homeworld by convoy. And if the other faction kill you, scare you off, disable you, they can steal that convoy. That's where the PvP comes in.
So the poor freelancers are being assaulted by both factions.
No. Freelancers are allied with both PvP factions, so they won't get fired upon, but their escorts, which are the PvP faction buying the goods, they will get fired upon, and if they get destroyed, disabled, or driven away, the convoy will turn around and go to the other faction's homeworld.
That's not bad.
Well, to the winning faction anyway.
To the winning
faction. Yeah. That doesn't sound too bad at all.
That would definitely force interaction.
No, I completely agree with that.
Just one question though.
But that completely negates the ground battles.
Change the gameplay.
Now, the ground battles will come in because the warring factions have a finite amount of gold. Gold will not respawn. You can't use auto miners on it, so once you've mined out a deposit, it's gone. So there's a finite amount of gold on the homeworld. That's where the other planets come in. You have to occupy the other planets to secure those planets' gold deposits. The ground battles come in when the other faction invades that planet in order to take control of that gold. Okay, gold is everything to the PvP players.
Right, so I have a question then. What happens when there is no more gold? That's an eventual possibility you're giving then.
The playfield spawn in with more gold. There's always going to be gold. It's going to be limited.
This is the other idea. I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Well, if the gold's mined out, then it's only asteroids coming down.
Yes, meteorites will land, I suppose. But
no, they're going to be disabled completely this time. They won't fall.
Disable them, yeah. This is the thing that might conclude the season, as it were. Victory conditions for each faction. So, 3 factions, each one has its own victory condition. We could say, for example, the PvP faction's victory condition is to annihilate the other one. Or, if all the gold is spent on all the planets, we could say whoever owns the most territory. If there's a tie-break, then the victory automatically goes to the freelancers. However, the freelancers themselves can claim victory if they have purchased a certain number of planets, for example, or met some other victory criteria that's obviously very difficult to get to. And then that's it. You basically declare a winner and start over.
Sounds good.
Something to aim for.
I definitely like it.
Vance, just one question though.
Yep.
In the beginning, when you're mining gold, how are you going to get that gold to the freelancers and back with a ship or with anything else?
Yeah, you still
this
got...
time around,
this is going to be the struggle.
This time around, we're going to make it so you can actually use the SVs. The planets will be close enough, you'll be able to jump using the SVs.
Oh, okay.
Well, with the resources by doing POIs.
I would say that in this scenario, you can use SVs to get to... maybe... How would you do it? I don't know how you would do it. You can use SVs to get to the outer planets of your system, but not to as far as the freelancers or as far as the other PvP faction.
Or you use an SV to get to your moon, and you have a portal on your moon that brings you to the PvE homeworld or something like that.
Possibly. But I was also going to suggest that you have to just try and get to the freelancers as quickly as you can by scrounging resources from rocks, killing POIs where possible, and scraping together enough resources to get yourself a banger of a CV and get over there. But
even if it's just a one engine, one seater type of CV, with a strong capability.
It'll definitely limit the amount of epic builds.
Well, not necessarily, because as soon as you can get gold so easily, right? And so if you can get a CV
this time around, it's going to be ridiculously easy to get gold for either side. Okay, well this is where I'm at right now. Is at the beginning, no one's going to have their own homeworld, but you're going to work towards getting your own homeworld.
Okay.
And that will divide the galaxy on two sides. At first, the PvE interaction on a planet is going to be mostly ground-based between the two warring factions. In the middle of the galaxy, that's where we're going to have our the freelancers set up. They're going to have, like our trade hub was before. That's going to be the freelancers playfield. We'll keep them completely separate from us.
What about the nomads? What do they just become?
There's no nomads. There's no nomads. We're going to two factions only. There's the good and the bad, and which both sides are both. There's really
the good, the bad, and the neutral.
There you go. The problem we've had, especially with this season, is there's too many divides. There's too many different factions, too many different things, and there's not enough interaction because we have too much spread out. So at the beginning of this season, we're going to start together, and the goal is, victory condition-wise, to get apart. The main world that everybody starts on will be a massive Akua planet with mountain ridges, canyons, whatever. I'm gonna go ham on this world for us. The goal is to get enough gold to get our own planets for both sides. That will actually create the division at that point. So there's our beginning struggle, is the fact that we're on the same world.
Mm-hmm.
The divide comes once one side gets enough money to buy another planet. That one gets placed on the opposite side of the galaxy. And now we're into space. We're actually going head to head over each other's planets and the resource. Still, only gold is our resource.
Wait, hang on, I'm confused. So if gold is your only resources, who's providing?
The freelancers.
The freelancers.
Okay, so
the whole scenario you set is exactly where we're going with it. It's just the beginning play between the two warring factions starts on only one
planet.
The goal between both factions is either one or the other to get off and get their own planet.
And so the freelancers, they start on their own homeworld. And
they're going to be set on their own homeworld. They get to do their own thing, whatever they want with the planet. There's no qualms, quarrels. Their only job is to mine and sell it to the other two factions. And in order to do so, they have to provide the convoy from their homeworld to the world that the two warring factions are on.
I wouldn't call them freelancers, then. I would call them the mining guild, because that's what they do.
They're freelancers, because they can do whatever the fuck they want. Pardon the language, sorry.
Changing.
Mole rats.
I mean, even the the factions that are going to war with each other, their names are going to be changed. It's not going to be the MPs versus the pirates. We're going to discuss that too. But that we'll discuss off camera, and we'll discuss and figure out what we're going to call the two different sides. And no, it's not the Empire versus the Rebels.
Front.
Speaking of which,
Muslim Liberation Front, MILFs.
If Jericho dropped, are you still recording?
Yeah. I know, he'll be back.
I thought he was recording.
He was live streaming. So the start off will be the fact that, it's going to be a struggle between the two warring factions. They're stuck on the same planet, but this is a massive planet. You got to remember that. So no matter what, it's not like we're going to be interacting on a daily basis, running into each other, but it can happen. But our only objective is to get our own planet. Whoever gets theirs first gets to choose the planet they want, and that's the one they get. and then we'll put that in on the opposite side of the sun, on the opposite side of the playfield. Now for the freelancers in the beginning, even though we're both on the same planet, we're still going to have those convoys running in space because they have to go from their homeworld to ours. So we'll still be able to attack the convoys, and we're going to know exactly where they're coming from. So we'll still be interacting. It'll force us to interact at that level. So no matter what, there's going to be a constant drive between the two factions to hinder the other because we both want the same thing. Our own planet off of this world, separate from the other.
Okay.
And then
it
still comes out to just two sides versus each other, even off the homeworld. Once you buy the planet, you're still going to have that convoy going from the center to the other planet. It's just going to be exactly the same. It's just going to go from either the left or the right, one or the other, or top to the bottom.
So the convoy can be intercepted at the starter planet.
Yeah, it'll have to go from their world through another playfield to get to the starter planet. So no matter what, there's always it's going to be there. You're going to know where to intercept it. It's going to be that playfield between the homeworld and theirs. And then once one of our sides buys into the planet, it'll be the exact same thing from their homeworld through that the playfield to the new homeworld. So either side will know exactly where the conflict's going to happen. And that's if they're waiting there to actually do it. But no matter what, you always know if you got to go through this playfield. You know that they're going to be there. You just never know when. But the other side might always be waiting anyways. We don't know. But if we only have the two sides working against each other, no matter what, we're going to have something going on because there's only two sides to choose from. Your side, our side. That's it.
Yep, okay.
Now, outside of that, there'll be other planets for the factions to explore, but, we can't mine them. But there'll be POIs that we can go play with on the other planets and stuff like that. The only reason those planets are there is for the freelancers to mine and us to go and fight over the POIs and stuff like that for the epic weapons, the loot, and things like that. So the only thing that the two factions that are at war with each other are going to be doing outside of their homeworlds and fighting for convoys and mining gold is literally POI mining, if you will, like everybody always complained about, which we're going to actually do it we're going to make it an actual part of the game. We're going to be out there actually assaulting POIs for the resources and for the loot, because we need the loot.
Yeah.
Which there are no POIs in the homeworlds. So those planets that are out there are the ones we have to go to get to the POIs anyways. So the only thing that's going to happen on the homeworlds is the two sides are going to fight each other, and the two sides are going to be mining for all the gold they can get their hands on. So the reason to leave the homeworld is to go play with the POIs, to get the epic minigun that you want, or that epic sniper rifle and stuff that you want. You have to leave the planet to do it.
Armor and armor mods and...
Exactly. The good news is that the home world is hospitable. You don't need them to survive anymore.
Right.
Oh, thank God.
But if you want to survive...
You haven't got an EVA boost.
But if you want to... There you go. Make sure you put your thrusters on either side of the cockpit.
Why you need them on the homeworld is to hunt for food.
Oh, and with the new mechanics and stuff to make food and the progression of the food system and crafting, you're going to be relying on meat, so you're going to be hunting. That's
the only reason why you would need guns on the homeworld.
Well, unless you run across the other side.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking the other thing we're doing is getting rid of all base restrictions. There is no, you have to build this or you have to build that. If you land on a planet, because one, we're not mining anyways, we don't have to worry about it. If we're fighting, we're fighting. Or if we're not, we're not. There's no rules regarding how we can build bases or mining rights and all that, because it's all gone. Now, for the freelancers,
and ship classes.
Ship classes is there is none. The only thing we have is turret limit, and that's not going to change. That's the only thing that's going to.
I think that's going to make a lot of people quite happy now.
If you want to build a freighter that has artillery cannons on it, and it's a class 1, and you can only have one artillery, go for it. That's your choice. But that's all you get. It's just a 1. It's your choice. The turret limit is a turret limit, and it's going to be times 2. So if it's a class 1, you can have 2 turrets. A class 4, you can have 8, blah, 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 all the way up.
Awesome. So no restrictions with constructors and whatnot.
Nope. It's all just history out the window. The other thing I wanted to discuss is thrusters. You know, it was great. It worked well. I liked it and everything. But if you want to risk throwing your thrusters on the inside and having a huge hole put in your ship, that's your stupid choice, I think. I think we should get rid of the... I'm thinking we should get rid of the thrusters exposed. But what is your guys' opinion?
I don't think the back thrusters should be hidden.
That I agree
No,
with.
For the rest,
thrusters should be exposed, but they can be like you built that one ship, inverted on the inside basically, but still accessible.
But that would mean
should not be inside the ship itself.
Until Elion developed line of sight targeting for turrets, it doesn't really matter where you put the thrusters.
They're going to shoot through the ship to the other side anyways.
The turrets will bore through a ship to get through thrusters if it...
So that's why I'm thinking we're going to get rid of the whole thrusters exposed thing. If you want to risk putting them all in the center of your ship, go for it, whatever. But your rear thrusters will be the only thing that has to be exposed to a degree. Just the rear. The back thrusters.
Your main thrust.
Yeah, that's
the
the only
thrusters
thing
that make you go forward.
Now, that's not to say you can't put your rear a set of rear thrusters inside too. You just have to have rear thrusters on the outside. Period.
For an aesthetic thing.
Yeah. So as long as it looks realistic, like you got 2 extra large thrusters on the back, and you could have 2 on the inside too. I don't care. But as long as it has them on the back and they're exposed, you're good to go. So all building rules have now been disbanded, even in our server now, because I'm done with it. I'm fed up with it. I really am.
I think it's a good thing. I think, because one of the great things about Imperion is the freedom it gives. And, you start restricting that, it doesn't leave a lot left. Because, it's like, not really exploration in the game. It's good building.
I mean, look what happened to me. Tragic. I followed the rules and I built the Vakir. And I am not happy with that ship.
Brilliant. So, solar system layout. I take it in this scenario it's not so much random as it is kind of you've got the freelancer system, the home system for the 2 PvP factions, but then also a series of planets or something that are off from that they can go and colonize when they escape the homeworld. Is that about right?
You can't colonize the planets that are around. The way it works is we can go to all those planets and fight POIs. You can't build a base there. You can't stay there. The only thing the warring faction can do is literally go there and fight the POIs and claim loot. Okay. Freelancers, on the other hand, can do whatever the fuck they want on these planets. That's their job. They need to mine this stuff, so if they have to have a base there to do so, then that's whatever. They get free reign to do whatever they want. The only planets that we, 2 factions, can colonize is the one that we are working towards buying to have our own homeworld. That's that's our only drive from the beginning of the game, is getting our own damn planet so we don't have to fight each other 24/7 or risk running into the other person because we're trying to mine this thing of gold.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, the gold's finite. It's going to run out eventually. So
we need to figure out how much gold we can get from the planet to set a price on a planet to a reasonable and achievable level.
Oh, it's achievable. I did it twice.
What was it? I can't remember the price. Something like 100 billion or something for a fairly habitable planet. Which I think Ulthuan figured out to be several thousand crates of gold ingots.
It would take you a month to be able to buy a planet.
Well, I think we need to just double check the prices.
Buddy joined your channel.
Because that doesn't quite add up from what we experienced.
Well, that's because he's lazy.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry.
Yep. See?
Hey, Magic.
Now, when it comes to buying planets and stuff, yeah, this whole setup's going to be changed a little bit. For instance, it's not 1 billion to be able to buy the habitable planet. It's going to be 100 million. That's the base price. All you need is 100 million to be able to buy your planet, which you can do that in a week if that's all you do is mine gold. And considering that we only have 2 factions doing nothing but mining gold, it would take a lot less than that. Come on now, give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, so 100 million.
It's 100 million for the planet, not the moon.
Oh, Magic, just hold on, Magic. Don't even get involved yet. You don't even know what we're talking about.
That's 400,000 gold ingots.
Yep.
400,000. That's 400.4 crates of gold ingots.
Yep. Remember, either faction only needs to do it once. Because once we have our homeworld, we have that world. Now, the other thing I was thinking about is, okay, now we both, one side finally bought the planet. They actually have their planet. It's there now. You know, what are we fighting for now in space? What is our objective once we finally get our own homeworlds? What is the purposes of us constantly battling over things? What are we making to keep it a challenge?
Victory conditions. The objective is to wipe the other one out.
Yeah, and then eventually you reset the server again, start over. So that would be the goal.
I mean, if you buy yourself a new planet, you've just pretty much secured yourself very nicely from being wiped out. Because you could hide a dozen bases on that planet.
On both of them.
On both of them. Now the other faction's got an uphill struggle to try and wipe you out in the same way as when they get a planet. So if you get a planet first, you're going to be wanting to go full-on assault against the other faction to try and wipe them off the planet. The problem is you just spent all your gold on a planet, and the other faction had just spent a nice hefty chunk of gold on several very nice-looking hover tanks. But you've got to make tactical decisions here, whether to spend the gold on blueprints or saving it up for your planet.
We'll stop my question, but now are we talking credits or are we talking ingots?
Ingots.
Let's catch Magic up to speed real quick.
100 million credits, wasn't it?
No, it's gold.
Gold ingots.
You're saying 100 million gold ingots.
Yeah, so that 100 cargo crates, it's much higher than that.
That's much higher. If you're at 100 million gold ingots, okay. Let's do.
And that can't be done in a week.
Yeah, no, that's out there. Divide
that would require some dedicated
million
mining.
Gold ingots by 999, and you have 100,100 crates, like big crates. So 100,100 stacks of gold ingots. Divide that by what? How many stacks can you fit in a crate? Remind me.
It's about 1,600 crates.
Thank you. 1,600.
There's your Fort Knox. See, that's what I'm coming to take from you. I'm looking for that building. I'm trying to find that building so I can take all of that you've been storing up.
There's not enough gold. You know how many gold planets we would have?
Magic, you don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
No, everything's changed. Hold on. Let's catch Magic up so that way he's on the same page here because he has no idea what he's talking about. We've completely gotten rid of all factions and all of everything that we've done and everything rules is gone. Everything's history. There's no building restrictions.
Society, man.
Yeah, that's it. It's all peace, love, and war, man.
Light up the newbies.
Not just love and peace and building shit, man.
All right. Well, okay. Here's where we're at. There's only 2 warring factions. There's no good or bad side. There's just 2 sides.
Get this up here.
There's the freelancer faction is the only one allowed to mine. They can build on any planet, do whatever they want. They're the only ones that are just free reign. But there's only 2 sides. If you're here for PvE, then you go play freelancers. There's no in between anymore. There's just the 2 PvP factions and 1 PvE faction. There's no huge solar systems anymore. There's only the 2 sides. There's the freelancers homeworld, the resource homeworlds, which also houses the POIs, and then there's the homeworld of the 2 PvP factions. The goal of the 2 PvP factions is to one of them get to buying a planet first to make the other homeworld for the other side in space on the opposite side of the freelancers. Now, the only way to get resources, the only thing these 2 factions can mine is gold. So On the homeworlds, the only thing on it is gold. So these two factions are mining gold to buy resources from the freelancers. The freelancers have to transport their resources from their homeworld to your depot on the homeworld that your faction's at. So the only way for these two warring factions to get resources is literally only to buy it. You know, when it comes to building, there is no building restrictions. There's no base restrictions. There's no CV restrictions. The only restrictions we have now is you have to have rear thrusters on any of your vessels. It doesn't matter. You can bury the rest inside. Turret limit is ship class doubled. There's no more free freighters and military vessels. Build whatever the fuck you want. Pardon the language again, folks. Sorry. You can build whatever the heck you want and put it wherever you want, as long as you don't go breaking the turret limit of the class size.
Mm-hmm. So I could build a class 89 or something.
And have double the limit, double the turrets on it, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care anymore. I am not. I'm not inspecting ships. I'm not doing anything. But if I come across now, if you do build a ship and the class size is not matched to the turret, double whatever the class size is, it will just be deleted from the server. There's no excuses. There's nothing. You got. We all know what the rule is. Anyone breaking that rule, the ship will just disappear. But,
sorry, Coop isn't here, so.
This is all well and good. This isn't like this hasn't been my main concern. Okay, how we set up the factions and all that has never been my main concern. My main concern has always been the economy, and you yourself, Wolf, has always wanted a economy driven server. That was the first thing you told me when I signed up. Is I want this is an economy driven server. And my one concern has always been the economy and how the economy flows. And even though you wanted it one way, you set it up another way. And it always has conflicted. Like the economy has never flown right because we can't set our own prices. Everything's based in gold ingots. And I know I know you want that gold standard. You want that gold being dug up. But I'm telling you, like Zirconium and Arestrum is worth twice that of gold. You know, honestly, I'm not gonna store 1,000 crates of gold. I'm gonna store.
That's why we're not worrying about that anymore. Forget the economy. It doesn't matter anymore. The only thing, the two PvP sides, it's not even my idea to go there. I'm just agreeing with it because it'll work.
No, I'm talking about previous, but.
Yeah, I don't care previous.
Like, I mean, to buy your own planet, I mean, it still sounds like we're still beating our head up against the same wall.
Oh, we're going to beat our head against that wall for probably the rest of the day, just trying to figure out what the price should be, because it's just a victory condition. We're just coming up with ways to have goals.
Yeah, we need to drive people to something on the server, I think.
So we have to have goals for the two warring factions, and that goal is to get the first goal. The first victory condition is being the first faction to buy their own homeworld. That's just that's just whatever the price is going to be. I don't know. We might make it 200 billion. I don't know right now. We're just talking about it.
Hang on. If one of the victory conditions is to be the first to get a homeworld, then you basically just you've said that the other faction has no chance of obtaining victory there. I think the victory conditions need to be you have to have your own homeworld. And you have to wipe out the other faction.
I was just making a point. I'm not saying that's actually one of them. I just
wanted to make sure.
Catching Magic up on what we're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Giving him an example. So that way he's now on the same page as the rest of us. We're just the planet cost.
So yeah, we were talking about introducing victory conditions, reducing the factions to just 3, and then giving each faction a victory condition to chase.
Okay.
Which would be total. The main one is the annihilation of the other side. Like total annihilation of the other side. So you could go and wipe out 3 or 4 of the bases on the other one's homeworld, but they could still have 5 left. You still haven't won.
I think there would be a point like a leader of that faction could say that they surrender.
Yes. Yeah, I would say that either wiping them out or forcing them to surrender.
Now, only the 2 leaders of either faction, which we all know I'm one of them, but Spans, I guess we're going to make you the other one?
Can be, unless anybody else wants to do it.
It's been me and you on both sides, basically, going the whole way, so we might as well just let's just stick with that. So the only way anything could be agreed upon between the 2 factions, a ceasefire, a surrender, or whatever. It can only go between the two of us at that point. So even if the other players are like, oh, no, let's have a ceasefire, please, blah, blah, it can't count. The other side's got to keep pounding on him until he's just dust.
Thanks for that, Magic.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey, there's my migraine.
The slightly more complicated victory condition I haven't quite figured out yet is the PvE victory condition. So I mentioned that they could buy a certain number of planets or something else. So that's the only thing that we need.
We need to figure that.
Who's got ideas, people? Let's go.
I think having they need to have like a crazy high win condition in terms of spending gold, simply for the fact that you need to force them to sell to both sides.
Well, they don't have a choice. They have to sell to both sides.
I mean, they always have a choice.
Well, no, they actually don't. They have to.
So they have to, regardless
within reason, because we can't go up to them and demand 4,000 crates of Sathium, and then you turn around and go, well, we've only got 100 crates of Sathium. No, I want 4,000. God damn it!
No, that creates that right there. Creates the imbalance. That creates the imbalance right there. If one side had just bought all the Sathium they had and the shipment of Sathium's out, that's the reason why the other side wants to attack that convoy.
Exactly. So yeah, that's why.
It's all based on what they have. So either way, the two PvP factions are only going to be as strong as what they can get from them.
So what motivates the PvE guys? Just to go out and sit there and stare at a screen and mine?
Well, they can use auto miners. This is the thing. The PvE faction can use auto miners for days. So they
shouldn't have a problem getting the resources. The reason they want to is for the money. They get the money, they buy their own world to do whatever they want with. And then their own individual world. So a freelancer can actually buy their own world to do whatever they want on that nobody else can go to uninvited.
Also, the other thing to point out as well with the freelancers is we're going to be, as PvP factions, leaning on you guys to attack POIs in the early game, because we can't. So things like armor mods, night vision, nice guns, things like that.
Which will be bought for in-game costs. So, and those are the most expensive things in the game. You got night vision. I think what do they sell for? Something like 10,000 credits, just to start off with. So there's money right there in your pocket that you didn't have to do anything for.
The other thing as well is that when we actually get off of the planet and start doing POIs ourselves, we can perhaps sell auto miner cores to you.
Exactly.
As their gold value.
Okay, can are we going to be allowed to say, completely absorb a POI?
Yeah.
Or do we have to leave that to the freelancers? Like, if I want to go in and just multi-tool the whole damn thing down,
you can.
Multi-turn all for the hardened plate.
You can.
Yeah, we can.
You can, but we can do that. But the homeworld won't have any POIs.
You actually have to get off the homeworld, go to the
homeworld won't. The PvE
will. But our homeworld won't. The PvP homeworld.
That's why you want to build your CVs, get off the planet to get to those planets to be able to do things like that.
We would still want to fight for the POIs. We would want to fight just to fight the POIs. Or, let's say, let one faction destroy the POI and then go in and take it from them.
Exactly.
But now, here's the thing. If there are no POIs and we only have the gold, how are we going to end up getting the resources together to get off the planet?
You pay the freelancers to bring it to you. So once they have it,
PvP people can't mine at all except for the gold on their planet.
Yep. That's why gold is so important.
Or there will be rocks.
Now,
there will be rocks.
What are you gonna do for fuel? Because you're gonna need fuel to run all this
you're gonna buy it.
Mining.
Great.
Imagine a freelancer. You know, he finally gets his stuff together. He has his own planet. Well, his one resource that he wants is Promethium. So he can have that one planet of his will have Promethium on it, and he can just sit there and mine Promethium all day long and just do nothing but ship Promethium.
Yeah. Also remember the PvP homeworld is not devoid of resources. It's going to have plant life. It's going to have rocks, the Promethean rocks, the pentaxid stones in the water, seaweed. You can make biofuel. You'll be able to make limited.
So we'll have
Promethean
those
packs.
resources.
We'll have the hard resources.
Limited resources.
Right.
Limited, yes, very limited.
Our resources are going to be slow getting if we're going to try and get them ourselves. We can't go in the galaxy and mine them. I mean, once you get a CV and you start attacking POIs, it'll go a lot quicker. But until that point, the only thing we have to rely on in bulk would be a freelancer selling it to us. Now, we are going to make sure that the homeworld has all the golem types. So you will be able to farm golems. It's just because of the limited amount you get from them, it takes a lot longer time to get it than it would be to just mine the gold and buy it from freelancers.
So, PvE guys, freelancers, don't think that your life is just going to be staring at rocks, pointing lasers at them. You can use the auto miners. We're not going to be buying stuff from you every 5 minutes, demanding 4,000 crates of whatever, 4,000 crates of whatever. You know, we're going to be preoccupied with each other as well. So you are going to have plenty of time to do your own thing, build stuff, enjoy the game, that sense as well.
But the most PvE gamers are more like the type of building.
Exactly.
Building stuff. They like building. Yeah. And what the experience with new types of buildings and eventually new ship types.
Yeah, so you'll be able to do that.
That will, because the freelancers.
Two factions is going to occupy all your time.
It won't, because that's the beauty of having only 2 factions, is because we're all working together for the same goal: survival. Literally, flat out from each other.
We've never done this before, so we'll find out if we do it.
Now, are we going to go ahead with this with a set price list for all resources again, or are we going to let
it's all based on in-game.
The freelancers let the freelancers actually set their own prices?
It's all based in game, whatever the in-game cost.
I kind of like the idea of freelancers setting their own prices.
Yeah, that's because I mean here's the thing. So we all set up, right? Both sides. It's gonna take a long time before we can purchase anything of any anything substantial from the freelancers, and it's really gonna be. I mean, the freelancers are gonna sit there and think, okay, well, I have all this stuff and that I mined, worked hard for, and built, and I can't sell it to any of the factions because they're just not there yet. It opens up that whole thing again. Like I said, my main concern is the economy, the economy of the server, and I understand that that you don't want that to be a main focus now, but it still kind of creates a void, and you don't want a void in a server. You want it all free flowing. So if I start out and say I mine up,
magic,
100 gold bars.
Magic. Hold on, just shut up. 1 second. There's a base price, and then they can set it whatever they want after that. I don't care. Happy now?
The price orientates itself after the demand.
There's a base price, which is what the in-game price is. And then they could say, I want to charge you double. I don't care. Happy?
But what if they want to charge me less?
I don't care.
Okay. Then why have a base price to begin with?
So that way people have something to go off of. It's just a guideline. It's a simple way of, okay, this is what it's worth. Well, I want you to pay 500 times more than that.
Price.
That's all.
So it's an MSRP. It's a manufacturer suggested retail price.
There, does that make you feel better?
Corporations, man. Corporations.
So the new name for the freelancers is Trade Federation.
Hey, these are the questions that I ask when you're not around. These are the things that people come to me and bring up and say, I don't want to approach Wolf with it because he's going to get mad at me.
I don't get mad. Necron brings up a bunch of pissy stuff that pisses me off all the time. I fucking did. There goes my language again. Sorry, folks. I did Minecraft with you, for crying out loud.
Yeah? What does that have to do with the economy and questions that I'm at?
I didn't flip out on you for it. I just did it.
What? You did flip out. You flipped out the whole episode.
Don't let him get excited.
That was funny as hell.
I sent you everyone a flock draw link.
Breathe in,
I've drawn a
breathe
picture
out.
of what the
The beauty this
system
time
could look like.
around, it's just nothing but freedom of whatever you want to do.
Basically, just leave them alone.
My,
what it
my
is.
concern, my concern with the flexible pricing would be that the PVEs would decide who's going to win the war. If they
Was
decide
it-
they want to sell faction A everything at half the price that they're going to sell it to faction B,
Well,
So
Faction
one
B
of-
can
so-
attack.
So one of
Faction
the
A.
winning goals for the Trade Federation would be to not set off a war against them by selling only one of the PvPs.
Well, Faction A can attack. Faction B, the resources.
That's the other thing too. So even if they tried to be douchebags, even though that's our main rule in our community is not to be a douche, the other faction can just go and get it for free by just taking out the other faction's convoy of that shipment going to their homeworld. Because there's only one play field between homeworld and the freelancers, so you know exactly where it's going to go through. You know it's going to get attacked there. It's going to be something close to that, yes, Spange.
So here, why not this? Why not allow the PVE faction to not just be one faction, but to be two or more?
They could be as many as they want.
Yeah.
That way there's competition.
The freelance faction is just one faction, but everybody in it can do whatever they want. Like, the whole goal of the freelancers is to get your own planet that nobody else can touch, and you can do whatever you want on.
I would also stretch that to the PvP factions can also be multi-faction if they want to be.
They shouldn't be.
Same origin.
As long as the bullet
but
is the same
multi-faction.
No, there's two factions for the warring factions, period. Yeah, you could, if you want to try and do something off without the rest of your faction, you're going to get screwed. So you don't want that. You want them to work together as much as possible. Yeah, people can still do their own builds and stuff, build their own bases here
And
and
then
there.
you become
but
an outcast hunted by everyone.
So the
I mean,
goal for the PVE factions would be to be the richest PVE faction.
Right.
Be the richest freelancer faction.
Control the flow of the goods, be the richest, and make the others suffer because you have everything.
And that
Ben
eliminates.
doesn't want everyone allowed on the Naginata, that's what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that way that ensures that not the PVE side isn't just going to side with just one of the two PvP sides. Now one PvE faction may, but then the other one to beat them out will lower their prices for the other side.
Exactly. So you got it. But when it comes to the two PvP factions, there's only one faction. Granted, you can send somebody off and let them build their own base in other locations for whatever purpose and reason. Maybe that's where you're storing all your gold, and that's where your Fort Knox is at, or whatever. People are still going to be building their own bases, doing their own thing for each PvP faction. But you got to work together. You're going to have to be one faction, or you're going to end up shooting each other and just destroying yourselves. So when it comes to the two PvP factions, there's only one faction. Inside that faction, you can negate it, you can control it any way you want. If you want everybody to be working together and only have one base, go for it. If you want them to have multiple bases, which you're going to have to do in order to survive, you're going to need people building their own bases and doing their own thing as well. So it's going to be like having multiple factions in your faction, but it's only one faction because you're working together. Because you can go from your base to that base and drop off goods and stuff like that. You don't have to worry about alliances or any of that other stuff. So there's only one PvP faction on either side. Because let's say you have 6 PvP factions on one side and 2 on the other side. Well, those 6 on the one side, the 2 on the other side are going to fire on each other as well. Now you got to worry about alliances. You just forget it. Too complicated. I'm making it so this time around it's not complicated at all.
I'm just obviously a lot of people, or some people, like to have smaller factions in order to stop people from taking stuff basically,
Hey, Wolf,
without
can you
authorization.
Lucian? Sorry, Smash.
Right. So I just thought we could give people the freedom to have their own factions within the Origin, so that there's no unsportsmanlike conduct among faction members. Things go missing and it annoys people.
Granted. Fuck it. There's a reason why there's pin codes on them. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You don't want
Yeah,
somebody...
if you're in the same faction, though, the pin code doesn't work. Open up the P menu and delete the pin code.
I suppose
now
we could set our personal bases to private.
Yeah, there's that too. Kind of negates the working together part. If you can't trust your teammates, then get rid of them.
No, they'll always be. He used my
But
shit and asked me.
you just grow up and get over it. If you're going to be that childish, I don't even want you here. It's that simple. You know.
The point is, I'm trying to make is that some people will play the game and they will spend hours and hours mining out resources or acquiring the resources in order to do a build or to further the faction in general, and then you'll have one bad apple that will come along and just
build a badass TV while everyone else is sleeping.
Build something stupid for themselves out of everyone else's resources and just tease everyone off.
I like how one person said bad ass CV and the other person said something stupid.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. But
that's usually the case.
You are vandalizing my nice drawing.
That's my answer to that. We don't need people like that screwing things up. You either work together or go away. It's that simple. You know, we have a peaceful environment. We need to make it stay that way. And if we're going to have problems and certain people are going to cause issues, they don't need to be here. It's that simple. If you put Xbox in there,
yes,
I swear to God,
because
get out of
I'm tired
here.
of mining.
Then go in PvP.
Starman, why'd you write that?
I'm going to.
You know,
then I'm the boss of the Trade Federation.
No, don't erase my son.
Oh, jeez. That was such a good drawing, Spange.
Thanks. You all ruined it.
You know,
no.
If we,
I'll raise you.
I'm going to say this right now. If anyone has issues and you know who's doing it, bring it to me privately. And if it becomes a problem, I will deal with it myself. And I only deal with things one way in our community.
That's like we did in Ark. Just you name your dinosaur, or you put your name on your dinosaur, and if somebody takes it and uses it, well, I mean that's you know.
In the Wolves faction, in the military faction, we always did it one way. If you got a private ship, you tag it. If it's tagged, you can't touch it. Nobody touches it. If they do, then I'll kick you from the server. And if you keep it up, I'll ban you. It's our main rule. Is if it's somebody's personal stuff, you tag it. If you don't tag it, that means it's faction oriented and anybody can touch it. But if it's tagged, nobody can touch it but you, unless you give
We can
permission.
go back and see everyone who's touched that ship, and what time and where and where they parked it too.
Question: if the ship's in the way for some reason, can you move it?
Well, yeah, you can move people's ships, like in the garage or something like that if you have to. But you always have to ask, like in our faction, you always have to ask me first. You can't just go touch somebody's property. And you definitely don't want to do it without me knowing it, because then you're breaking the rule. You can't touch it.
Well, say you're not online, Wolf. You're not online, Wolf. Time to lie.
You can always message me.
Just say moving
gone off
extra
the
shit because it's in the way.
But there's no. You can move things over, move them to the side, move them over, but you can't just take somebody. You can't just touch their stuff without permission.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You move
I just wanted to give people the option to have multi-factions if they wanted to, but you know there are ways around it, like you say.
Or sub-faction or whatever.
No, we're not dividing things up and having to deal with that whole alliance system crap again. It's just too annoying and too frustrating, and I'm not going through. You know how much easier it is for even Magic, if he's the one I asked to look something up for me. It's easier to go through one faction coding than it is multiple factions, because that's different listings. It's just easier all the way around, no matter what. Doesn't mean they can't go off and do their own thing. You know, like I know for a fact when Monroe comes back, his thing, he's going to go do his own thing. but I'm going to tell him where to go, and we're going to work it out. It's going to be a group thing, but whatever he does over in that area is all his business. He's going to do whatever the heck he wants, which in his case is most likely going to be a salvage yard or a repair thing, which I love the new repair system coming in at 8. It's going to be epic. You don't have to rebuild things. There's a repair section. Woo-hoo! It's going to make life excellent. It's going to make him happy too, because his system can't handle the game to the standards of the rest of us in combat. So his thing is salvage and repair. So he gets the ships and brings them back and salvages them or repairs them. Well, now it's taken to a whole new degree. If we want to salvage it, we actually can. If we want to keep it, we actually can. Instead of having to figure out where did this block go or all that crap. It's great. I can't. Will you stop with the sponge drop? I'm out of here. Oh. Well, and another note, just want to make sure everybody knows before we let everybody go for today, is that for those of you out there that play World of Tanks or World of Warships, we actually have a Wolves community clan set up for both. Feel free to send yourself invitations. Everybody will be accepted to them, so that way you guys can all find and participate with each other. For all the subs in all of our channels, feel free to jump in and have fun with each other. The other thing is we're going to be working on doing some episodes where you guys finally get to participate with us in certain games. We need somebody to play our Jason, so we could do Friday the 13th and play that game here and there, and we want you guys to be the ones to kill us. So other games as well that we're looking into playing is like Deceit and things like that. So feel free to give us a message if you want to join in. Just put your comments down below. Hit us up on Steam. For me, I'm easy to find. It's just DWolf. It's the same name, same avatar. You can't miss me. You all know where to find me. Just come and look me up. And I will get you guys set up. Otherwise, go to our group page on Steam. The link is below. And hit us up there. There's just jump right into the TeamSpeak. Let us know if you want to play with Friday the 13th with us, World of Tanks, whatever. But we got a bunch of stuff set up for you guys, so you guys can actually start participating with us and get in some of these episodes and videos yourselves. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to play hard, game harder, and until next time, take it easy.
Take care, guys.
Have a good one.
Hold on. Spanish.